Coming up on Crime Files.
Who would think that an architect in Manhattan on Fifth Avenue with a wife and kids in a Massapequa neighborhood would be a killer?
This is the story of a man accused of hiding in plain sight.
He's an individual who lived two lives.
And eluding police for more than a decade.
He just flew under the radar.
Could tales of a tormented childhood on Long Island
He would ask girls out and they would laugh right in his face.
have sparked a sinister multi-state killing spree?
DNA is being looked at as far away as Las Vegas, where the detectives are trying to determine if Heuermann could be connected to more bodies of more missing women.
And just how did the alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer stay under the radar for so long?
What somebody like this will do is take their invisibility and then turn it into a power.
Crime Files starts now.
Rex Heuermann was arrested for the murders of Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, and Melissa Bartholomew.
13 years, their cases went unsolved until today.
Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families.
13 years before the arrest of the suspected Gilgo Beach serial killer, I was the morning reporter for News 12.
We're in Levittown. Erin Colton, News 12 Long Island.
I remember getting that call from our assignment desk when the first body was found.
A gruesome find by Gilgo Beach. Skeletal remains discovered right off of Ocean Parkway.
While investigators were searching for a missing escort named Shannon Gilbert along a waterfront community of Long Island's South Shore, they made a chilling discovery.
At that point, I saw the skeletal remains of a body.
Over the next 3 days, 4 women were found dead, all within about a quarter mile along a desolate stretch of Ocean Parkway.
We're looking at that we could have a serial killer.
Maureen Brainard-Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amberlynn Costello became known as the Gilgo Four, but they were just the first of many bodies found.
Police say skeletal remains were found yesterday in what could be the 5th victim of a serial killer here on Long Island. The first of the murders dating all the way back to 1993. For years, the Long Island serial killer case remained cold.
How is the investigation going? Do you have any suspects that can give me hope?
While investigators searched for clues, police say Heuermann thought he had a foolproof way to contact his victims and stay hidden.
Prosecutors say he used fake names and burner phones to lure these women to their deaths.
But burner phones still leave footprints for police to follow. Investigators were able to collect cell tower data to ping Heuermann's locations using billing records for those phones. And on top of that burner phone data, police say another sick piece of evidence solidified their case.
We learned Melissa Bartholomew's cell phone pinged in Manhattan, Freeport, Massapequa, and Lindenhurst.
Heuermann allegedly used his victims' phones after he killed them to contact their families, torturing them and bragging about what he had done. Cell site records show that Heuermann made those calls both from his home in Massapequa Park and Midtown Manhattan, where he worked.
It just shrunk that whole universe. I mean, they went from not knowing who it was that they were looking at to now having a direction.
Now that investigators were able to zero in on the suspect's location, they got their next major clue, new information on an old tip. A state police investigator searched for anyone living in that area who owned a distinctive-looking green Chevy Avalanche, the vehicle Amberlynn Costello was last seen getting into the night she went missing.
It was not very challenging to identify who the registered owner of the vehicle is.
That led police to Rex Heuermann.
Archived Google Map photos show his pickup truck parked in plain sight outside of his Massapequa Park home in November 2011, 15 months after Costello disappeared.
Locating the car, then set off the hunt for DNA.
There was also 5 hairs that were found at the dumping sites. As we started to develop the suspect, we were always going back to those hairs, and now we need a DNA profile to compare with what we have at the scene. We told them, if you get the opportunity to capture some abandoned DNA, take it.
And that's exactly what detectives did. They followed Heuermann on his lunch break and pulled out a pizza box that he threw in the trash.
Prosecutors say Heuermann's DNA found on thrown-out pizza is the same DNA profile of hair found on the body of Gilgo Beach victim Megan Waterman.
Now that they finally get him, it's like, oh my God, finally.
It's unbelievable. It's shocking.
Police roped off blocks with yellow tape to keep onlookers away from the scene.
I obviously don't expect this from your own hometown.
One person made the trip, calling it, quote, Long Island's biggest attraction these days.
It looks like a scene from a movie, like Criminal Minds. Everybody thinks, like, not me, but it's right here in our neighborhood.
What people came to see was police combing through Heuermann's home, inch by inch.
Today, investigators from multiple agencies continued their probe of Heuermann by taking boxes filled with his belongings from his house.
Individuals who live a double life that are engaging in serious sexual homicide have a tendency to be highly secretive and to have places in their home where they stash things that are essential to their fantasies. Hidden boxes of photographs, computers filled with inappropriate pornography or images that they've taken at crime scenes, trophies taken from victims. Sometimes there can also be stashes of weapons and tools that they fantasize about using in their offenses.
That means painstakingly going through each area of the house and looking for what you necessarily can't see with the naked eye.
One of the most shocking things investigators say they found was a walk-in vault in the basement, sealed by an iron door. Inside, they say were guns, a lot of them.
There was a large cache of rifles and handguns that were recovered from his residence, which is very, very scary.
There were nearly 300 of them, to be exact, according to investigators. They were handguns, assault rifle, antique guns. Then they brought in the excavator to dig up the backyard.
Oh, I want to know what happened, you know what I mean? Is there dead bodies in this guy's backyard?
We also saw cadaver dogs at the scene. The police commissioner said they even used sonar radar to see what could be underground.
I always thought, before there was a suspect identified, that he probably was bringing them to some private place within his own home, some room or secret area where fantasy could be played out. You know, a garage, a den, a work area. The symbolism of it is, you know, the wife never goes in that secret place.
Just wondering how the wife had no idea about this. You just can't do something like this and be able to keep everything a secret.
But investigators say Rex was able to keep up the guys by hiring these sex workers, killing them, dumping their bodies, all while his wife and 2 kids were out of town.
Suffolk Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison tells us when the police spoke with the wife and children, they were shocked by the allegations.
Not only did the arrest shock Long Islanders, it also reignited interest in other missing escort cases across the country, cases Heuermann could possibly be connected to.
So that same day that Heuermann was arrested, my investigative team got right to work and did a deep dive into his background.
Our research quickly led us more than 2,500 miles away to the Las Vegas area, where property records reveal that Heuermann and his wife purchased not 1 but 2 timeshares dating back 2 decades, just a couple of miles off the Strip. And one of those purchases in April 2005 especially caught our attention because a young escort went missing just 1 month later. And then we learned there were even more missing women.
Police in Las Vegas were investigating a string of their own unsolved murders that were eerily similar. They all happened between 2003 and 2006, 5 cold cases that police now say have similar methodology to the Gilgo Beach murders.
There are some pretty detailed ways that these young ladies were killed out here.
The victims were all young escorts who either vanished or were discovered dead off remote highways, some of them even wrapped in cloth.
I can just say that there are similar circumstances between these murder victims. They were sex workers and they disappeared and they were found out in the desert. They're accessing every piece of evidence. Every one of those is going to be examined with a fine-tooth comb.
It didn't take long for detectives to fear the worst, that maybe, just maybe, there was one killer hunting multiple women in several states.
Coming up, as investigators continue working cold cases in Las Vegas.
She was killed, murdered. Somebody took her life.
What our investigative team uncovered about the shocking similarities between the Gilgo 4 and the missing women in Las Vegas.
I think she looks quite a lot like Megan, the beautiful blonde hair.
Plus, how suspected serial killer Rex Heuermann eluded police for years and lived a double life.
He held a very respectable position in the business world. He hid in plain sight.
When Gilgo Beach, hiding in plain sight, returns. Crime Files continues once again with Gilgo Beach hiding in plain sight.
As the shock of the arrest of the suspected Long Island serial killer set in, new interest was sparked in cold case investigations across the country, especially in Las Vegas, where police continue to search for clues to try and link Rex Heuermann to missing women there.
Once we got our hands on some of the victims' autopsy reports, the first thing we did was compare them to the records that we already had for the Gilgo Beach victims, and right away, we noticed strong similarities. For example, they showed one victim's death, Victoria Camara, was the result of strangulation, just like the Gilgo Four, while the severed legs of another victim, Lindsay Marie Harris, were discovered in similar circumstances to Fire Island Jane Doe, identified as Karen Vergata.
We opened the bag, saw a red toenail sticking through, and opened a little bit more, and there was a whole foot.
Then there's also 21-year-old Jessie Foster.
What I miss the most about Jessie is the sense of humor. She loved to dance, joke around, play pranks, do the silly things that you do when you're still young.
Jessie's mother, Glendine Grant, has been searching for her daughter since March of 2006. She was initially sexually trafficked here in New York and New Jersey before being ultimately lured out to Las Vegas. After learning of Heuermann's bombshell arrest, she was stunned to learn of the commonalities between her daughter and the Gilgo Four.
I think she looks quite a lot like Megan Waterman, the beautiful blonde hair. I just hope that they get all the evidence they need and put him where he belongs.
And that evidence they need may just come from DNA. The Las Vegas Police Department got the green light they needed to conduct a direct comparison between the DNA from Rex Heuermann and the DNA that was recovered from Victoria Camara's body.
She was killed, murdered. Somebody took her life. And ever since then, I didn't stop looking for answers.
It's not just Las Vegas we're talking about here, because Heuermann also owned land down in South Carolina. Police down in Sumter County combing through evidence to see if he has any possible connection to a woman that disappeared there.
The daughter of Julia Ann Bean has told the Sumter County Sheriff's Office Rex Heuermann looks like the man last seen with her mother on June 1st, back in 2017.
He looked similar to the man she'd seen in the media known as Rex Heuermann.
Julia Ann Bean's daughter reported her mother missing 6 years ago.
She told the detectives that the man last seen with her mother drove a truck just like Heuermann's green Chevy Avalanche.
The Sumter County Sheriff's Office tells us as of right now there is no direct evidence linking Heuermann to that case. However, the office says it has contacted the FBI for help.
The hatred of women that these men tend to have is fantasizing that they are abandoning or wayward or sinners or whatever. It becomes in their mind a justification. The vast majority of serial killers are not people who have serious mental illness. They're basically people who have aberrant personality structures. They don't look much different than the average individual, and they really perfect the art of playing the role, of fitting in.
And fitting in meant being a member of the community, living that seemingly typical Long Island life. Everything you'd expect an average guy to do. But police say Rex Heuermann was a cold-blooded killer.
I met Rex when I was 8 years old. We went to the same elementary school and high school together.
Rex Heuermann grew up about 15 miles from Gilgo Beach in the bedroom community of Massapequa Park. The town is made up of working families. Crime is low. It's even right down the block from the old Nassau County Police Academy. It's the kind of place that people stay for life, including Rex Heuermann.
He was always strange. He was always scary.
Those who knew Heuermann described him as a loner who struggled to fit in.
Rex didn't have many friends. He was always the butt of the joke. He used to get bullied a lot. It was everybody's punching bag. He would always take the abuse and never fight back.
To outsiders, Rex's home life seemed troubled. He lived in a red cape on First Avenue with his parents, his younger brother, and 3 older sisters.
We never saw Rex's mother. She was invisible. His father used to berate him in front of all the other kids. Very volatile, screaming and yelling. So we were always a little intimidated.
Rex's dad died in 1975 at the age of 50. Rex was 12 at the time.
You start getting the sense of a person who kind of got stuck in pre-adolescence. The father dies and he's just sort of paralyzed there.
One of the things I learned from my father was furniture building. Build furniture at home. and I still build it in the same exact workshop.
I was very suspicious about a person who was an architect, left that house in a kind of unchanged quality because it had something to do, in my mind, with a kind of arrested development.
Most of the people in the neighborhood didn't want to be closer, mainly because of the condition of the house.
The small red home where the accused serial killer is reported to have lived for his entire life.
When you aired The House on your broadcast by George dropped, I knew exactly who it was.
When getting up close to the front of the First Avenue home, you could see piles of wood, a rundown facade, and items piled on the porch.
That house has been the same since 1975. It's like time froze.
Men who commit this form of repetitive homicide with this sexual quality to it, you're angry at women that have rejected you or made you feel weak.
He used to ask girls out and they would laugh in his face. He would put notes in their lockers. There was one time when he asked a girl out and she was with a couple of her friends. He's a drop dead loser. And I could see the hurt in his face. I could see it. He had a deep hatred for women, I believe.
Because he was rejected so much?
That could be part of it. He could have had a lingering resentment for many years.
They have in their mind the original person they're upset with. And then they go out like a casting agent to find women who look the part, lure them somewhere, and then play out a fantasy. Really, they're killing the same person over and over again.
Still ahead.
Rex Heuermann, an architect.
Hear from suspected Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann in his own words.
Sometimes I have to be the heavy framing hammer.
Plus,
a person who was tired of feeling invisible will be amused by the idea that you don't know they're there. Now they're lurking like a serpent underneath everybody's feet.
When Gilgo Beach, hiding in plain sight, returns. Crime Files continues once again with Gilgo Beach, hiding in plain sight.
As the hunt for the Gilgo Beach serial killer intensified, investigators say Rex was carrying on with his everyday life. He shopped at local supermarkets. He rode the train into work every day.
Just hearing that he was in the neighborhood and that he was at the local park that we're at all the time, that he rides the train that my husband rides on, it's very scary that somebody was living this close to us this whole time.
While investigators say Rex was preying on women and luring them to their death, he was also working at his architecture firm on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. He had several big clients like Target and Nike. His success even drew the attention from an international YouTuber who interviewed him a year before his arrest.
Rex Heuermann, I'm an architect, I'm an architectural consultant, I'm a troubleshooter. Sometimes I have to be the heavy framing hammer. The heavy framing hammer. Other times I'm the lightweight hammer just to nudge things along.
He held a very respectable position in the business world. He was an architect, worked in downtown Manhattan, and, you know, he hid in plain sight.
It's crazy, because you never know who your neighbors are, I guess, right? You never know.
As the shock set in over the community, Rex's wife, Asa Ellerup, and 2 adult kids moved back into their home on First Avenue. Police had spent about 12 days there combing through the house for clues and evidence to try and link Heuermann to other bodies found near Gilgo Beach. During this time, Asa filed for divorce.
He was the sole breadwinner of the family. She needs to figure out supporting herself, getting these children taken care of, and being the strong woman in the family that they can look up to and rely upon. That's the mom. I mean, I know they're 27 and 32, but they rely upon their mom for guidance.
According to her attorney, Asa visited Rex in jail at the Suffolk County Correctional Facility in Riverhead.
They were married for so many years and they raised a family together, and my understanding is that she doesn't believe that he was capable or committed these acts. So he certainly appreciates that support.
The family's now filming a documentary at the house in Massapequa Park. A large-scale production company was seen with film crews at the property and at Rex's recent court date. As you can imagine, causing a media circus.
Also, you have anything you want to say?
For now, with Rex behind bars, investigators say there should be no more fear of a serial killer hiding in plain sight.
A person who was tired of feeling invisible will be amused by the idea that now they're lurking like a serpent underneath everybody's feet. People like that do not stop. They proceed until they are captured.
This case is a case that we're going to try in a courtroom. The press has convicted my client without seeing a shred of evidence.
Well, an arrest to any story in our criminal justice system is never the end. So, you know, we have to prove this case in court. He has the presumption of innocence. We understand that. We accept that. So we're going to go ahead and do that.
I just hope it gets us the answers that we all been looking for, honestly. It just will definitely help a lot. You know, we could finally give her some peace and get her justice that she deserves.
You know, we're not done. You know, we're not done. They understand that, and we certainly understand that.